Hello class, and welcome to Notes 3.6, Discount and Markup. Now 3.6 I've split into two sections, so today we're just going to be dealing with discount and markup. We have some vocabulary words today. First off is markup is the increase in wholesale price of an item. Retail stores buy items from manufacturers at wholesale prices and then sell the items to the customers at retail prices. You can think of it as when a store buys an item for a wholesale price, they have to make money because if you think about it, they've got rent to pay, they've got employees to pay, they have to keep the lights on, all of that. So that's their markup. So when you add the two together, you end up with the retail price. The discount is when an item is on sale, there's a decrease in the retail price of the item. So the retail price is the same thing as original price. So you'll notice that it'll always be referred to as the original price. Remember, it's the same thing as retail price. And then you're subtracting the discount. So you're getting a little discount. Maybe the item didn't sell. Maybe they want to clear more space for another item. Whatever the reason is, you now have a sale price. Okay, let's take a look at the first teacher example. You are shopping for a bicycle and find one with an original price of $240. The store is offering a 30% discount on all bicycles. What is the sale price? So again, the original price was $240, and you want to find out what 35% of $240 is. The key word there is of. And this brings us back to section 3.4, where we talked about how of meant multiply. So when we set it up, we want to find 35% of 240. We're going to multiply. Notice I did turn that percent into a decimal. I can't multiply with percents. I have to turn them into decimals first. Then I can go ahead and do my multiplication. Now here's the catch. You just found what the discount was. What it's asking for is what the sale price is. So that means the shop is taking $84 off of the original price of $240, and our new price is $156. Notice I do need my dollar sign in there. Since it's a word problem, I need words. There's another way of looking at this, and the way you can do that is if you think they're taking 35% off, that means they're keeping 65%. So if you're going to multiply 240 times 65%, you'd end up with the same final price of $156. So go ahead and try that out. Again, I've done both methods. You can do whichever method you like, and I will go over both of them. Okay, welcome back. Let's go ahead. First method is just kind of that traditional method. Finding 15% of $56 is 8 4/10. Then I need to subtract, and I get 47 6/10. And of course I need to turn it into money, which means I need 2 digits after the decimal, $47.50. Okay, let's take a look at the other way. And again, you can subtract the discount from 100%, because remember the full price is 100%. Subtract 15%, it means you're keeping the 85%. So all you have to do is multiply 85% times 56, and you end up with $47.60. So either way you look at it, you end up with the same answer. Doesn't matter which one you'd rather do. I generally recommend when you're doing discount to use the second method, and the reason is because you're less likely to forget that final step of subtraction. You multiply 85% and you're finished, where here a lot of students end up with an answer of $88.40, and that of course is not correct. Okay, option 2. Again, we're going to go ahead and start by the traditional method of multiplying 20% times 64, and I end up with $51.20. Notice I did have to, once I did that multiplication, I did have to subtract. The other option, of course, is to take 100%, subtract 20%, and that means I'm keeping 80%. I can go ahead and multiply, and I still end up with $51.20. So whichever method makes more sense to you is fine with me. Again, the reason I recommend this method is you're less likely to make a mistake. But if you're more comfortable with the traditional method, by all means, go for it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at teacher example 2. pair of sneakers has a wholesale price of $28. The percent markup is 135%. What is the retail price? Now, generally a store does about a 200% markup, which means they just multiply that $28 and double. So, this store is a little less expensive, so let's take a look and see what it becomes. I first need to find what 135% of $28 is, which of course means I multiply after I've turned my percent into a decimal. I end up with 37 8/10. And now, that's the markup, but I need to add that on to the original price. And I end up with $65.80. Okay, so now that I've got my decimal, of course I need to put my dollar sign and add my extra zero for my change. Okay, let's take a look, and notice this way there's no other method. All you can do is multiply and then add. You can't add first and then multiply later. It won't work. So let's go ahead and take a look. Try out these problems on your own. Do the best that you can. When you're ready, we'll take a look at your answers. Okay, welcome back. We're going to start by multiplying 29 times 105%, which we're going to turn into a decimal, 1 5/100ths. And I end up with 30 45/100ths, which of course is $30.45. Problem number 4, I've got $35 and the percent markup is 110%. Turn it into a decimal and multiply. And I end up with $38.50. Notice I had to add a zero on here as well so that my money lined up. Okay, let's go ahead and have you try some of these out on your own. Find the sale or retail price. The first two problems are both dealing with discount. Again, you can use whichever method you prefer. The third problem is dealing with markup. Remember, on markup, there's only one option. Okay, go ahead and solve those problems. When you're ready, go ahead and put them into Schoology. Have a great day.